downtown Little Rock. This is Capitol View with your host, Jessi Turnure.
Good Sunday morning to you and welcome into Capitol View. I'm Jessi Turnure. The 92nd General Assembly has been in the books for just over a week. More than 1,000 new laws have been passed, and already we're seeing the effects of some of them. We'll break down some of those a little later. We begin with HUD Secretary Dr. Carson's visit to the capital city this week to see firsthand how HUD's rental assistance demonstration program transforms public housing through public-private partnerships. While Cumberland Towers welcomed Secretary Carson, protesters wanted him to go back to Washington to rethink proposed cuts to the HUD budget, which they argue would increase rent for people in public housing, reduce funding for tenant-based rental assistance, among other things.
It seems small, but even the smallest cuts is going to be devastating for us.
First of all, the budget's probably not going to change, okay? There's always arguments about the budget back and forth. You know, the more important thing is that we look at the homelessness situation and how are we going to deal with that.
Before the tour and protest, I sat down with Secretary Carson to talk about how his department's policies are affecting Arkansans and the Trump administration's opportunity zones coming soon to the natural state. Dr. Carson, this is your second visit to Little Rock. Your first visit came after you released your plan to increase rent and work requirements for HUD tenants, and this visit comes on the heel of your proposal to implement a new rule to further prevent illegal immigrants from taking advantage of public housing assistance. And so we saw our Arkansas Congressman, President Trump, even weigh in on this yesterday. So how do you expect this new rule to work, and how many people would it impact?
Well, basically, what we're doing is following the rule of law, but we have hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of Americans who are waiting for assistance. We can only assist like 1 in 4 families right now. And the last thing we need is to be putting other people in line ahead of those individuals. It's not that we don't have compassion, but it's very much like on the airlines when they say, in case of an emergency, the oxygen mask will drop. Put yours on first and then help your neighbor. It's just logic and common sense. And so nothing is really different here. It's just that we're enforcing the law.
And then what do you think of the likelihood of this gaining enough support, especially in the Democrat-controlled House?
Well, it's going to be pretty difficult to argue against taking care of our tax-paying citizens first. And if they say, well, but you know, some of those families include children, I would say, and when you look in that line of hundreds of thousands of millions of people, there are children there too. So are there some children who get preference over others? And they're going to have a hard time answering that question.
Mm-hmm. And then just implementation in general, how would you make sure that this happens?
Well, we have mechanisms of monitoring who's in the house and, you know, take advantage of modern technology as well.
Okay. And then you toured an affordable housing complex in the capital city during your visit that's part of one of 85 opportunity zones across the state. What is your vision on how these two go hand in hand?
Well, the opportunity zones were created from the Tax Cut and Job Act and provide a mechanism for people to invest unrealized capital gains in the economically deprived areas. There are 8,761 of them across the nation. And in the past, they've been neglected. Now there is incentive to take some of that money and invest it long term, because you don't get the advantage unless you leave it in for at least 5 years. The biggest advantage is after 10 years. That means you're going to have people who are investing money who are very interested in making sure they get a return on their investment. So they're not just going to walk away. They're going to say, we got to make this thing work. And that's going to have a tremendous impact on the people who live there. We have 35 million Americans who live in opportunity zones. We have 380,000 public housing units and opportunity zones. So this is an area where we're already working at HUD. And now we have enhanced abilities to give people that ladder of opportunity to climb to self-sufficiency.
And Arkansas is definitely paying attention. During our state legislature's recent session these past several months, Arkansas lawmakers passed a law to just essentially match the federal law. And during the discussion, though, some did have concerns saying that they didn't want, companies coming into these opportunity zones and becoming millionaires off the backs of the people who live there. So how would you respond to those concerns?
I would say people are always going to be critical, but what you have to recognize is that a lot of things that will be happening will be buildings for residents, and they're built with the help of low-income housing tax credits, new market tax credits, the RAD program. All of these things have built into them affordable housing. So that's been looked at and taken care of, and we will continue to monitor that situation. And also, Section 3 has been revamped so that we don't have all the regulatory barriers in the way, so that organizations will have incentive to train, hire, and give contracts to the low-income people in the area. So this will be a tremendous boon for the people who live in these areas.
And then you also gave the keynote address at the 2019 Fair Housing, Fair Lending Conference here in Little Rock, and it brought local, state, and national leaders under one roof. And going back to the state's legislative session, a bill that didn't pass was quickly brought up right at the beginning of the conference that would have set minimum standards for landlords to maintain their properties. And similar bills have failed here in Arkansas a handful of times since 2005. A lot of people wanted to get this done, but it couldn't happen. Arkansas is the only state in the country without this implied warranty of habitability law, and so tenants' rights advocates argue that this makes Arkansas the worst state in the country to rent. Do you think that Arkansas is noticed for this on a national level?
We're noticing everybody. When I came in here yesterday to the airport, a gentleman came up to me. He said, your new rules with only a 14-day notice before an inspection is really hurting us because we can't get things done in that time. And I said to him, that's the whole purpose, sir. We don't want you to leave things unattended and then try to rush to get them done when we're coming. You need to have it done all the time. So, we're changing all of the REACT rules across the country. Some of the media have said there are more people living in squalor under this administration. No, what has happened is that we're exposing it. We're no longer sweeping it under the rug so it can be dealt with.
Would you have any advice to lawmakers moving forward as they try to get this passed in 2 years?
Yeah, I would tell them to understand that this organization and this agency is going to be holding everybody accountable. And we're not making excuses for anybody.
And you said that last month that you're finished as HUD Secretary after Trump's first term to return to the private sector.
That's not actually what I said.
Okay.
What I said is that my preference
Your preference
would be to return to the private sector. My preference right now would be to be in the private sector. But the fact of the matter is this is very important work we're doing. We have to give people a pathway out of poverty and to self-sufficiency.
Why would it be your preference now?
It's much easier to be relaxing and enjoying life than it is to be doing this. But, we have responsibilities to each other. And if everybody had felt that they were only going to do what they wanted to do, we wouldn't have a wonderful country right now.
Got to ask you, too, since you're very familiar with this process. Of course, everybody was looking at the Republican ticket last time and how it was stacked. Now Democrats are really giving them a run for their money. Who do you think is eventually going to challenge Trump?
Well, as the president always says, we'll see what happens.
There you go. Dr. Ben Carson, thank you so much for joining us.
A pleasure. Thank you.
And coming up after a quick break, we'll get more into the 85 opportunity zones across Arkansas and where we stand now. The director of the Arkansas Economic Development Commission joins me next. You're watching Capitol View on Sunday morning.
Tune in every Thursday morning for the Today Show Minute. Greg Curtis from the Good Earth Garden Center will share timely tips to keep your lawn and garden looking beautiful all year long. That's the Today Show Minute every Thursday morning on KARK-4.
The game of football is about pain. 7 years old until I stopped playing at 31. I thought that foot pain was going to be with me for the rest of my life. I'm so glad I met Good Feet. I'm so glad that those arch supports are in my shoes. If I had known about the Good Feet arch support earlier, I would have more than one championship, I would have 2 championship rings.
Try them for yourself with a free arch support fitting and test walk at the Good Feet store.
We have mountain biking trails. We have breweries. We have mountain biking trails that lead to breweries. Hot Springs, Arkansas. It's different here. Come see why. The thermal spring waters our city is named after are known for their legendary healing properties. Their thirst-quenching properties are pretty nice, too. Hot Springs, Arkansas. It's different here. Come see why.
Sold it. Attention home buyers, lake enthusiasts, and investors. Absolute Real Estate Auction, Thursday, May 9th at 11 a.m. in Shirley, Arkansas, with a move-in ready 2,500 square foot custom home on 15.7 acres. With 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, and only 1.8 miles from the Fairfield Bay Marina. Panoramic year-round views of Greers Ferry Lake and Sugarloaf Mountain. Selling in 3 tracks in any combination. Regardless of price on auction day, go to wilsonauctioneers.com.
Sold it.
Dialing for dollars on KARK4 News at noon has been updated, and it's time for you to do the same. Go to KARK.com to register. Dialing for dollars only on KARK4. Sponsored by DDS Dentures and Implant Solutions. You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
Welcome back to Capitol View. This past week, the White House hosted an economic development session for the Opportunity Zones you just heard me talk about with Secretary Carson. Arkansas's Economic Development Commission Executive Director Mike Preston was one of 150 state and local leaders from across the country to meet with President Trump. He joins me now to talk about his recent trip to D.C. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Yeah, of course. So first, just have to get into the Opportunity Zone. So Arkansas has 85. For people who aren't even aware what an Opportunity Zone is, just where are we at in this rollout process as far as investors, things of that nature?
Right. Well, we learned a lot this week in D.C. I was glad I was able to participate and actually saw Secretary Carson there on Wednesday, so it's glad to have him now in Arkansas this week. So
and both on the show, so
yeah,
there you go.
Exactly. We're following each other around.
Yeah.
But, so last year, this passed in 2017, the end of 2017 in the tax bill, and it was put in there to have the opportunity zones. We designated the 85 zones last year. The governor made the designations of the 85 zones in the state of Arkansas. So these 85 zones represent low-income communities where we're looking to drive investment to. So those who are looking to now invest in one of those 85 zones throughout the state can use their capital gains and invest it there and have a deferment of tax payment on those capital gains. And if you leave your funds in there for a period of 10 years, you're not going to have to pay any taxes on those capital gains. So it's really an enticement for investors to invest in low-income communities where otherwise they might not see some of these investments happen.
And those rules and regs have been finalized as far as investors go? I mean, have people committed?
Yeah,
right
so
now?
that was the big thing, and I didn't want to get too down into the weeds on this,
right.
But what we've really been waiting on is Treasury and the IRS to set up rules and regulations, and they said they were going to do it in separate tranches because there wasn't a lot of language in the bill that gave the guidance. So these guidance and regulations were going to be really important. So the first set came out back about October. We've been waiting for the second set. We were meeting with Secretary Mnuchin on Wednesday, and while he was talking to us, he said, stay tuned, they're about to go up on our website. So we're excited to see that. We've been pouring through the couple hundred pages of what's out there, but what we've seen is I think we have all the answers that we've been looking for, that investors need, that they feel safe now to go ahead and, all right, let's go ahead and start making these investments.
And then how do you plan to make sure, just in working with investors, attracting people to Arkansas, that all 85 opportunity zones will get this money, get this funding?
Well, we plan on working with our local communities. If you have an opportunity zone, whether you be a chamber of commerce or a local county commission or whatever it might be, we plan on partnering with you guys to make sure that we're marketing those properly. And then we're also working with investors so that they understand where these zones are and that they're able to pull their money together and create an opportunity zone fund. And that's how the investment's actually going to drive into the opportunity zone. So we plan on working with investors, our local partners, and promoting this throughout Arkansas so those 85 designations can really take advantage of it. And hopefully 10 years when they look at this again, those zones will no longer need that because they've risen the income level, they've had the investment, they're no longer considered a low-income community.
How much do you think the state's new tax laws are going to come up in conversation?
I think that'll be a part of the discussion because obviously this is a federally driven program, but now that the state has mirrored something after this, they're going to say, we're getting this tax break from our federal taxes. What does it mean for our state taxes? Now we can point to it as a state of Arkansas and say we've mirrored that as well.
And during those discussions, during the session, I know that some people did have certain concerns, and I asked this to Carson question too, but I just wanted to get your opinion. Some did worry that it could kind of open the door to companies coming in to become millionaires on the backs of the people who live there and then just kind of leave. And so how would you respond to those concerns?
You know, I'd say that anyone that actually wants to realize that full gain on their taxes has to leave it there 10 years. If you come in and leave a company there for 10 years, chances are you're going to stay there for the long term. You're not going to just pick up after 10 years and move. By 10 years, you've put down roots. You probably have a source of income. You have a customer base or whatever it might be. Or if it's a housing development or something, they're not going to pick it up and move it to the next county, to the next state. So I have good confidence it's going to stay there for the long term.
Okay. And then speaking of the 92nd General Assembly, a Commerce Department report earlier this month found that online retail sales in the U.S. was higher than general merchandise sales for the first time in history. And so we kind of have to look at how our state legislature just passed a bill to allow out-of-state sellers to collect sales tax on in-state buyers. I think about a dozen states do this now from what I could find. So how do you expect that to impact online versus brick and mortar sales moving forward?
You know, I think there's always going to be that place for brick and mortar sales. People want to go and touch and see and feel items that they're shopping, but in order to stay competitive, you got to be innovative, and that's how you got to stay in front of it. Is collecting the sales tax on that is something that other states have done, and now Arkansas is moving in that direction. But it's incumbent upon our retailers now to kind of change their mindset and have both components, the bricks and mortar as well as the online. Walmart's a great example of a company who's always been known for bricks and mortar, but what they're doing innovatively, they're one of the only companies out there that can actually compete with Amazon right now because they've invested so much into their online sales and activity. But you're going to see a lot of smaller retailers that are starting to pop up and they're doing the same thing. And we hope a lot of them are right here based in Arkansas.
And I think you're going to argue from the competitiveness of this too, but the governor did announce that he had signed more than 1,000 bills this session with no vetoes, and one of the ceremonial signings of many this past week that you were at helps members of the military and their spouses get a professional license after moving here.
Right.
How many do you think have been previously discouraged from moving here because of that?
I don't know the numbers off the top of my head what it would be, but obviously it's something that we want to do to make Arkansas more competitive. We have great military installations in our state, and we have people coming from all over the country moving here. We want to make it easy on those folks to be able to. So if there's a trailing spouse, we want them to be able to move in and go into that same work that they were doing without having to go back to school or take additional training. So this is going to be an important step in doing that. And I think that anything we can do to make Arkansas more military friendly. We actually have a military affairs task force that's housed in economic development, and we're looking at those things that we can do to better recruit around our military bases, bring in more businesses around it, but also help and support those military families. This was a big thing that the Pentagon, Department of Defense look at to see what states are doing to up their competitiveness when it comes to supporting the military. So I'm glad Arkansas is now one of those states that we can say we have this law.
And ADC was involved in a lot of legislation during the session. Is there anyone you think didn't get enough love, or just kind of got drowned out by kind of some of the bigger ones that you're proud of?
I think we obviously supported the governor's agenda and what he's doing on transformation and cutting taxes, highway plan. All these things go into what we do at AEDC in selling the state of Arkansas. We're now going to be able to take this and essentially package this and sell it to consultants and companies all over the country and all over the world to say, look, Arkansas continues to do things to become more competitive. And what this legislative session did at the governor's and to support of the governor, it's going to help us in the future and help us drive more projects and grow our economy even further.
Okay, and then I wanted to preview something that you're a part of this next week. We'll be speaking at the Mid-America Aerospace and Defense Summit in Fort Smith. And do you think many Arkansans realize we're a defense industry hub of sorts? And then how does this benefit not only really the state but the entire country?
It's funny. It's kind of a hidden secret of how well we are in military defense, aerospace and defense. I was talking to someone in D.C. about that, and they said, I just didn't realize the aero defense industry that you have in Arkansas. You think about an area like Camden, Arkansas, that has about 2,000 people employed in the military aerospace defense industry in Camden, Arkansas. Not to mention what we have going on here with the SO Falcon Jet, and then the supply chain around that with the galley support innovation. So we've got great companies in Arkansas. It's actually one of our top exports when you look at where we go all over the world. Aerospace and defense is one of our top exports that we have here. So it's important for us to highlight this, and the Aerospace and Defense Alliance this week in Fort Smith is a good opportunity for all those companies to come together, talk about what's happening in Arkansas, and see what we can do to recruit more industry into the state in the aerospace and defense industry.
Any big announcements on recruiting next week, or just kind of wait and see?
I'd say stay tuned. It'll be an extremely busy week for AEDC and the governor, and we hope to announce more jobs next week.
Okay, well, sounds good. Mike, thank you so much for joining us on the show.
Thanks for having me.
And then coming up after a quick break, the 92nd General Assembly is over. We take a look at the ramifications of some of the new laws, though. You're watching Capitol View on Sunday morning.
Steve's Auto Body in Searcy. Call 501-380-6345 or come by Steve's at 200 East Line Road in Searcy.
The most trusted name in auto body repair. Steve's Auto Body is always there.
Everything you do matters.
To make the cut, they will have to take huge risks.
What people think are the best answers don't always win.
Whose choices will pay off big.
Insane!
New World of Dance tonight on NBC.
We grew up together. Will you go easy on her?
No.
She's talking to the FBI.
I'm gonna need you to take care of it. Please just say something.
Good Girls, tonight on NBC.
Let the competitive edge of J. Oliver's Jewelry Studio help you find the perfect diamond. Select a ring from our inventory or bring us a picture and let J. Oliver's custom design it right before your eyes. From the perfect diamond to the perfect design, count on J. Oliver's Jewelry Studio.
It's our spring sale at Family Leisure.
Huge savings on patio furniture, pools and spas, fire pits, barbecue islands, grills, and more. Spring sale going on now at Family Leisure.
Injured? Let's talk about the one number you need to know. Anywhere in the state, dial 888-8888. From Fayetteville to Lake Village, from Blytheville to Texarkana, from the Delta to the Ozarks. At Rainwater, Holt, and Sexton, we've got you covered, Arkansas. Anywhere in the state, dial 888-8888. If you've been injured, let us help you weather the storm. Anywhere in the state, dial 8.
Whatever you want to be, it helps to be well. An active, healthy lifestyle is key. We offer tips and support to quit smoking and address health conditions like diabetes and high blood pressure. It's never too late to make decisions to help you be healthier. Be you. Be well.
Watch KARK4, local news that matters.
Steve's Auto Body in Searcy, the collision repair experts. At Steve's, we are known for flawless work and quick turnaround. We work with all insurance companies and can handle your claim start to finish. Call 501-380-6345 or stop by Steve's at 200 East Line Road in Searcy.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
Welcome back to Capitol View. Arkansas immigrants and advocates are not giving up their fight against the ban on sanctuary cities in Arkansas, even though Governor Hutchinson signed that bill into law last week. After fighting it at the state capitol for months, they say legal action is coming next. Right down the street from the governor's mansion, a group of his constituents makes a point.
Immigrants in this state are not only employers, consumers, and taxpayers, but they're humans, right?
Nora Vinas and other members of Arkansas United Community Coalition argue a bill to ban sanctuary cities in the state that Governor Asa Hutchinson signed into law Wednesday makes them feel anything but human.
We've had families call in a panic saying, should we leave the state? Are my kids going to get taken away? Should I go to work?
The new law would cut off funding to cities that don't cooperate with federal immigration authorities. It would also prohibit cities from preventing local law enforcement from asking about a person's citizenship or immigration status.
This law, more than anything, is an anti-immigrant statement.
On the day Hutchinson signed the legislation to license DACA nursing students and give in-state tuition to certain immigrants, he announced his intent to sign the Sanctuary Cities bill.
We don't have any city that would meet the definition of a sanctuary policy city. So I don't see any change in policy going forward that would be disruptive to our society.
Hutchinson voiced concerns that it could lead to racial profiling, while other Republicans disagreed.
It prohibits profiling.
We're saying, Arkansas, we're going to follow the federal law.
While Hutchinson signed the bill under the condition that lawmakers add language in the future to require probable cause before police can ask about citizenship or immigration status, Arkansas United members are taking action now.
Lawsuits will be filed.
Arkansas United members tell me they don't have a timeline yet on when any lawsuit against Act 1076 will be filed. And for more than 60 years, Americans have been dialing 911 to report emergencies. It's a service that has struggled as technology has developed. A new state law could help clear up the confusion. It'll transfer the state to next generation 911 to process all types of emergency contact, from voice to text to multimedia. Many believe it's the right call.
Grant County 911, where's your emergency?
I'm trying to get Little Rock 911.
Gary Burris called for help after someone stole his computer out of his car.
I was robbed at MacArthur Park, and I can't only get a computer when you call Little Rock Police.
But when the dispatcher tried to transfer him,
You have reached the Pulaski County Sheriff's Office. If this is an emergency, please hang up and dial 911. Hello? Press 1. For the investigation...
Sir, hold on just a second.
You have reached Arkansas State Police Troop A in Little Rock. If this is an emergency, hang up and dial 911.
What do you do? There's a problem.
Sir, I'm getting an automated message with all of them.
Burris called 911 and had to leave the Little Rock Park to get the right agency on the phone.
When I finally got somebody, I said I could bleed to death out here.
The Grant County 911 coordinator, Randall Berry, tells us his office couldn't transfer Burris's cell phone call to Pulaski County or State Police because neither have the infrastructure in place to receive it.
Let's get the system right. I mean, this could hurt people.
The same week Burris was robbed, the Arkansas legislature passed a law to fund upgrades and expansions to the state's 911 system. While Berry says this is an answer to the confusion, Burris is still left to question if police will catch his laptop thief.
But I'm watching you. I know who you are. I'll get
The new law will pay for the improvements by increasing a phone tax by 30 cents per month for each device, including tablets and others that use data. It will also add a 10% tax on prepaid cell phones. And we're back to wrap it all up after this. You're watching Capitol View on Sunday morning.
The delicious fish sandwich from Sonic. It's 100% Alaska pollock smothered with tartar sauce and pickles on a brioche bun. Have we reeled you in yet? Did you catch that? The fish sandwich only at Sonic. Are you hooked?
Sold it. Absolute Greers Ferry Lakefront Real Estate Auction at 85 Buckhead Trail on the Tannenbaum Peninsula. With an extraordinary 5,200 square foot luxury home custom built by David Hendricks in 2012 with no expense spared. Also selling 2 covered boat slips, guns, boats, furniture, and much more. Everything is selling regardless of price, live, on-site, and online. Thursday, May 30th, starting at 10 a.m. Go to wilsonauctioneers.com.
Sold it.
Sonic's new BBLTs are great.
Yeah, the BB stands for bacon.
And the LT stands for look at those tomatoes.
Well,
Don't miss out on Sonic's new $3.99 bacon, lettuce, and tomato sandwich with tots.
You're watching Capitol View, Sunday morning talk focused on the political scene in Arkansas.
And that's it for today's show. Don't forget, you can now take Capitol View on the go. Download the Capitol View podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And we're back with an all-new Capitol View next week. Enjoy the rest of your Easter weekend.